والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم ربنا لك الحمد والشكر كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك وعظيم سلطانك. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك منك لا نحصي ثناء عليك أنت كما أثنيت على نفسك. My brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Inshallah, you and your families are safe and well, and I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep you and your families and ourselves and everybody else safe, inshallah ta'ala, during these very difficult times. We are experiencing perhaps, as the Prime Minister said, one of the most difficult years of our lives. This pandemic is affecting each one of us in different ways. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for each one to go through this phase and this test in the best possible way, inshallah ta'ala. You have heard the Prime Minister say that a number of places will be closed, including houses of worship. The masjids are closed now, not only for Jum'ah Salah, but also for the 5-time Salah also. And of course, this is very sad for so many people. But it's important during these times to remind ourselves of some important issues, inshallah ta'ala. And I was hoping to share these things with you today, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. The first thing that's important for us to realize is that we need to have husnul dhan billahi azza wa jal. Husnul dhan is to expect nothing but good from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To know that ultimately whatever is going to come will be good, inshallah ta'ala, for somebody who believes that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is wise, the most wise, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a grand strategic plan that He shall implement regardless. This husnul dhan, or having good expectations of Allah, thinking the best of Allah, Ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu says something very beautiful about it. And he says, وَالَّذِي لَا إِلَهَ غَيْرُهُ مَا أُعْطِيَ عَبْدٌ مُؤْمِنٌ شَيْئًا خَيْرًا مِنْ حُسْنِ الظَّنِّ بِاللَّهِ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ. He says, I swear by Allah, no servant is given anything much better than husnul dhan, to have good expectations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَالَّذِي لَا إِلَهَ غَيْرُهُ لَا يُحْسِنُ عَبْدٌ بِاللَّهِ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ الظَّنَّ إِلَّا أَعْطَاهُ اللَّهُ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ ظَنَّهُ. And I swear by Allah, the Prophet ﷺ says that any servant of Allah who has good hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, thinks good of Allah, then Allah will give him or her according to their expectations and thoughts of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. ذَلِكَ بِأَنَّ الْخَيْرَ فِي يَدِهِ. Why? Because all goodness belong to Allah are in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are, of course, other lessons that we need to think about and reflect during these difficult times. And I mentioned this previously, and I said that al-qadaru madin wal-qada'u nafid, that Allah's qadar will come to fruition regardless. And some ulama said qadar is Allah's grand strategic plan, and His qada is the implementation of that plan, and that regardless Allah's qadr will come about. Now that doesn't mean we must not take the means, we must not look for cure and vaccine, but we must also take other type of means, and that is to begin to ponder and think about what have we prepared if we are to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what these situations must make us think about. A man came to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam and he said, Mata as-sa'a, when is the hour, O Messenger of Allah? He's asking about the Day of Judgment. قال وما أعددت لها. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the Messenger of Allah, said, and what have you prepared for it? This hadith is narrated in Bukhari and Muslim. And this is the real question. What have we prepared if we are to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Of the other lessons that we can learn from this is that we must turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and beseech Him. We must beg Him to remove this calamity. And this is the difference of a person who believes in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and believes that Allah is the ultimate controller and cause of all things, and somebody who doesn't. We believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ultimately is the one who removes these calamities. And it is He who gives people the capacity to find a vaccine and a cure. So we need to turn to Allah. It's called tadarru'. Tadarru' is beseeching Him, begging Him. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-An'am, فَلَوْلَا إِذْ جَاءَهُمْ بَأْسُنَا تَضَرَّعُوا وَلَكِنْ قَسَتْ قُلُوبُهُمْ وَزَيَّنَ لَهُمُ الشَّيْطَانُ مَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us, and He says, if only they had learned humility when suffering came from us. But no, their hearts became hard, and shaitan made their foul deeds tempting or alluring to them. Of course, the other thing is to realize that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will continue to give reward for people doing good a'mal, do good deeds. For those who used to go to the masjid and cannot go to the masjid now, glad tidings, because the salah that you will continue to do, you will remain to receive the same benefit and reward from Allah as if you were going to the masjid. This is based on a hadith in Ahmad, which is sahih. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, ما من مسلم يصاب في جسده فصبر واحتسب أجره عند الله عز وجل إلا أمر الله تعالى الحفظة اكتبوا لعبدي في كل يوم وليلة من الخير ما كان يعمل أي أجر ما كان يعمله. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, any Muslim who is afflicted in his physical body through sickness or illness or disease and has sabr, patience and perseverance, and has ihtisab, and they take into account that Allah will reward them, then if these conditions are there, Allah will order the angels to continue to give this person the same reward as if they were praying in the masjid, inshallah. Also, it's important to put things in context. In our deen, in Islam, life is more important than place itself, right? And so saving people's lives in these difficult circumstances and any other time, looking after our own well-being and the well-being of other people is more important than a place or the place itself. There is an amazing hadith that is narrated by Tirmidhi, and it's a Hasan hadith, where Abdullah bin Umar radiallahu anhu says, قال رأيت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يطوف بالكعبة. Abdullah bin Umar said, I saw the Prophet of Allah making tawaf around the Kaaba, circumambulating or going around the Kaaba. ويقول ما أطيبك وأطيب ريحك. And he was saying, how fragrant you are, and how beautiful is your fragrance. ما أعظمك وأعظم حرمتك. How great are you, and how great is your sanctity. والذي نفس محمد بيده لحرمة المؤمن أعظم عند الله حرمة منك. And then he said, I swear by Allah that the sanctity of a Muslim is more important than your own sanctity. The sanctity of a Muslim is more important, and this is why life matters. It matters more than place. This is why it was the right decision to close the masjid in order to save lives or the possibility of spreading this virus, which touches on the question of asbab or means. What do we need to be doing now? We need to be not only looking after our own health, but also making sure that we are not a cause in the spread of this virus or the spread of this disease. And that is why life is more precious to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than the actual commands themselves. I mentioned the other day that of the maqasid al-sharia, the higher objectives of sharia in Islam, of those is the preservation of life. In fact, because preservation of life was so important in the Islamic tradition and so important in the Islamic civilization, that Muslims excelled in various scientific disciplines, but mostly in medicine. They excelled in medicine for about 900 years, so much so that they built hospitals, trained doctors, and the Islamic or medical textbooks which were written by Muslim scholars remained standard medical textbooks in Europe until the 18th century. One last point, inshallah ta'ala, and that is, this is a time when we need to exercise ithar. what does ithar mean? Ithar means preferring others who are in need over yourself. Now, there is the concept of huquq in Islam, fulfilling people's rights. That's one. Above the question of fulfilling people's rights is ikram, is to be generous and to give people more than they deserve or more than they are entitled to. And the highest of those forms is ithar, and that is to go beyond all of that and to give people, or to prefer the people's needs over your own need. And this is very important in this time when we're finding people are going to the shopping centers and maybe fighting over, basic commodities. This is the time for us to reflect and think about, well, what is it that I can do to help those who are in need? Instead of thinking of what is it that I can do to only help myself, but also what is it that I can do to help others who are maybe more in need than I am. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq to pass through this very difficult time with ease, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep us and you all safe, inshallah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.